The 22nd of June 2023, and it's a good day. There's a little bit of cloud and there's talk of some rain, and the more the better. We need rain, but we've had some, and we've had thunder and lightning. And here we have the wild rose bush here in bloom. Just gone over there, I think I've missed it, is a sparrowhawk or a hawk of some kind. He's just, when I pressed the button, he let a few screeches out of him. We have a good few species of raptor in this area. There was a pigeon a minute ago going coo 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 in that tree, and many people mistake the wood pigeon for the real cuckoo. They're not the same at all. The cuckoo has a different sound. And just there, I don't know, did you see it? There's a bird of prey just after lighting there. Now I hope that picks it up. He's just to the right of that branch there. I'll just go around there. I think he's a kestrel. Look at him going. I hope you caught that. That's not too easy got on camera. I do have a shotgun, but I'm very careful. It's used very, very, very judiciously and sparingly. And years ago my father would shoot those raptors, but I don't anymore. We have to try and propagate whatever we can of our natural environment. Just as I look up at this here, this scene here, these trees which are right beside where I do my broadcasting on my Realtree page and No Fake News, and I have to be careful not to let my fingers get on the microphone because it stops the sound getting in for you to hear. Also, it's nice. A few moments ago, and maybe before I'm done with this, a big plane flew over there, and we could check on Plane Finder or Plane Tracker. We can check and see where those are going. And that one was going from Frankfurt in Germany to Montreal in Canada. This area here is on the route for nearly all South British, Midlands, Birmingham, all that, and particularly London Heathrow, and not so much Stansted, but Heathrow, for Canada and the United States, and down as far as Atlanta, and sometimes as far as Texas, strangely enough. I've never seen one going into Mexico. It's just the way they fly, you can track them there. So they'll be going across there all the time, and they're rolling over there anyway. And you want to look at the internet to see Plane Finder, and it's like hornets. It's like a nest of bees or wasps. There's that many of them in the big centres of population, and the emissions from them has to be unbelievably big. I'm not saying whether they're good or bad, but there are a lot of emissions. I mean, of greenhouse gases, as they call them. Now, one thing I noticed today is there's a buzz up in those trees. There's some kind of an insect inhabits those trees when the weather gets warm, and I think I see them here. There's sort of a little. You'd never see them here. There's sort of a little browny grey fella. There's one there. The thing there. And when they get together en masse, I'm telling you, they do some noise. You just hear this constant noise in the trees right up until after dark. Over in the distance you can see a neighbour's cows there with calves, same type of operation as myself. And then up on the hill you'll see the Lochanleigh mountain, and that Lochanleigh mountain had grouse on it at one stage, and it had heather, and the state through Culture, the Irish Forestry Board, planted it, and when they got their trees over, they just dug it up and left it a complete and utter wasteland, a horrible mess, that Lochanleigh. I might do a video up there. Now here is the Boultree bush, or the alder. This is alder, I forgot the last time. And it has the most lovely smell. Oh, this is in blossom. Oh, it's worth travelling to get a smell of that. That is unbelievable, beautiful smell. It's to attract the insects, I take it. But it is a beautiful scent. It's worth getting out and getting a whiff of these. You know, there it is, look at it. The elderberry. Now here are the briars. and I have some of them. So far there's no big push to get rid of them. I did take out a lot of them on farms, fields I was doing up, and again, if you see them there, you see the little blossoms there coming on, and I wonder, will you be able to see the fly? Now just look at those. Now, if any of you people are into this, you may be able to identify what they are. I'll speak up a little, sorry. Now a plane goes overhead again. I just don't see it yet, but obviously it's heading on its way either to JFK in New York or Montreal or Toronto. Anywhere, could be anywhere, could be Atlanta. Anyway, it just shows you the mix of the modern world with this place. And a butterfly just takes off there. I think you'll see him there. And everything's out in the good weather. And nature's function is to fatten up and have young and reproduce. Without that function, you'd have no new life at all. And here are two butterflies going along here. I don't know, can you see them? There they are. I hope you can just see them. I'll stop moving. See them there. Obviously a bit of courtship going on just there, and here they settle on the briar. So a certain amount of briars and other stuff is essential, and it's very, very important that that's kept in parts of farms and all of that, and I do try to do that. And I praised the government for not forcing me to dig out this. That was the way it was for a long time. Now you see the butterfly there. I hope you can see him, right? See him there. And to him, his little goings on is as important as ours. I know of no threat to these from any kind of gases in the atmosphere or anything else. The gas, there is an increase in CO2. It has fluctuated for ages, and I've just after noticing a big brown bird. I think it's what do you call those? Buzzard. I think it's a buzzard. He's after flying from the tree because birds love these type of trees. These are not evergreen trees. These are how they deciduous. I think that's what you call them, deciduous trees. And there they are there again. And I'll try and keep the camera from capturing the massive, ugly, useless wind farms. You know my attitude on them. And so there's the odd thistle. We have to keep them under control. If I didn't control the thistles on this farm, they'd take over completely. So you have to have a balance. And there's a beautiful tree, a beautiful ash tree there. And there's no ashback disease here yet. Thankful for that. And here's the foxglove. And the foxglove, you can put your finger up into it. You know, you can put your finger up in there. The foxglove is, it's an indication of a lack of lime. The pH of the land is too acidic. Now, having said that, you'll get them growing on hedges because the lime doesn't get into the hedge when you spread it. So I do try to keep a balance of the lime. And I showed you earlier with the cow calving. Here's the meadows. These meadows are a bit wet, but that's where the cows will go to calve. And they'll go down there when the weather gets hot, and they'll go into those bushes and they'll scratch and they'll tear and they'll do all the things. And I'll be very reluctant to change any of that just for a bit of extra grass. I thought I'd be short of silage this year, and you know something, I think I'll have plenty now after the rain. I think I'll have enough. So again, I wish to God I could have a say in the formation of policy for land and land use and all of that and planning, but I don't, and that's just the way it is. But there is some cleaning up to be done here. I mean, not all of this land is suitable. It could be improved. And here you have, this is stuff that was taken out of the river by the Board of Works 50 years ago. And it forms a kind of a barrier along there. And whether it should be left there or not is another day's work. But it is a place for plants and that can grow without being hit by the moor. And then, of course, we have the river flowing here. And my father had a water wheel on this river, just there. The water used to go in there and it used to flow down there and run the water wheel when there was high water. So that's an upreach of the River Glyde, and that flows into the sea at Annigassan, County Louth. Okay. a rock there. There was a rock sticking out of the ground there, and they took stone out of it for building, and then they left it. So I tied it up around it. It used to expand a bit with thin bushes and all that. But I still left it here anyway. And again, this is the same stream or river. And there used to be a big tree fell across that, and it was a trout nursery. The trout used to breed there. And one time I brought down a barbless hook here and put spiders on it, and I caught 8. I kept them in a barrel and released them. They were about 4.5 inches long. I caught 8 trout in there. That's only in recent years. But in order to keep trout in that river, some type of cover or trees across it are very essential, and unfortunately there's no grant for that. Farmers tend to take them out, but they're a great idea because they provide cover for breeding fish. Again, this type of an area here with a bit of cover up along the river is a great spot for cattle to chill out. Great old cool place down along the very river. And as I said, while I may have to tidy some of this up, I'll be doing it very, very carefully. The river itself has a lot of insects and insect life and different types of larvae, and here you have a cherry tree there that survived, and you have, of course, the Sally, and Sally is an Irish name for a species of willow, and this townland is Drumsalla, and so this is the hill of the Sally, or the ridge of the Sally. Many places in Ireland are called Willow Ridge. The Sally has really no profit at all. They're not much good hardly for anything, maybe for posts, but they keep coming along anywhere they can. The furze bush, or the whin bush as we call them in this part of the world, in the springtime it has that yellow, see that yellow blossom. They're gone. They have the most beautiful smell. I often wondered if you had them in some kind of gin, could you impart that taste into the gin, but I don't know. But the thing about it is, what happens to furze bush is that when they fall off, when the blossom goes, these little pods develop. You see them there, and those pods have little seeds inside them. And those seeds are the only way you can grow the whin bush. You cannot graft a furze bush. You cannot graft a furze bush. Furze bushes are are one that you cannot graft. And in Goldsmith's poem, The Deserted Village, he talks about blossomed furze unprofitably gay. And here is a little alcove and a very mature boultree, or elderberry bush, and again here's the blossom. They're nearly all gone. Oh, there's the most beautiful smell of that. You just couldn't describe that smell. I mean, could they make a perfume out of that or something? I don't know, but it's to attract the insects. And if you see them here, I don't know, they're all going over to it there, of what remains. That's a big tree there now, and yeah, it's elderberry. And you can make lovely wine out of that elderberry, but we call it boultree in this part of the country. So this field is work in progress. There will have to be some renovations done to it, but it will be done easily. And there's the latest born. It will be done with consideration for the environment. There's my latest little calf there, only a week old, and here they are, all taking a bit of a lie down. And that's the little calf. I showed you that calf being born. We'll not disturb them anymore. Now, as a big jet plane thundered over on its way to America, here we're here at the Giant's Grave, it's known as. This is a dolmen, and you can just see that stone there, right? Now, I don't touch this because I promised the heritage people of the government I wouldn't anyway, and I have no interest in doing that. But I don't keep it that clean, and it overgrows. So there's a huge big stone in there about the size of it's about the size of a Toyota Corolla car, and it's running horizontally. Now, it got tossed at the time the hedges were built. Now, somewhere about there is the other stone on the opposite side. It's a bit hard to see it, and there's about 7 meters between the two, so they were moved a bit. Now this is the front part of the giant's grave. It's a stone of about, it's about 6 feet tall. It can move a bit. It's down on the ground about 9 inches. And it's about 4 feet wide, and it's like a tombstone or a headstone. There's nothing written on it in olden times. Maybe people did and carved their names and stuff on it in recent times. That's all right. I don't know what it is. Now it's at the front, so there's 5 of these stones and a big capstone across there, and this is the front piece. And you can see this now. It's overgrown. I don't touch it. If they want me to do it up, or they want to do it up themselves, no problem. By right, I think the state should rebuild that, build it from the best example they have, and show it as a monument. I'd have no problem with that. But for now, anyway, it lies there. It's there 3,500 years, and the rock for it came from a nearby stony place. So generally speaking, you'll get these where there's stone nearby. The exception is Newgrange, and they were taken from Clogherhead. So these were a minor brand of these, and this is 2,000 years later than Newgrange and Doubt and Nouth. It's a dolmen, essentially. That's what it was, and it got tossed. Now the story goes that when it was built, the Druids at the time put a curse on it to stop you touching it. And there is a lot of old folklore in Ireland that you don't touch forts and you don't do this. And some people claim families have had very bad luck to interfere with those things. So I don't go near them. But there is there's supposed to be, they put a spell on it that anyone who touched it would suffer consequences. And that is that they wouldn't be able to stop showing off, and they wouldn't be able to stop talking. Now, I think myself what they meant by touch it was to damage it. But in the Irish language, it could be taken to mean even touching it. And it's said to be that anyone who touches that stone there, or any of the other 5, will not be able to stop talking. They'll always be talking. And if they're in company, they'll always be talking. And a Yankee woman came here, wanted a couple of Yankees to see it, and can we see the giant's grave? It's on the map, by the way. And sure, I said all right, and I told her about it, because only to be fair, I told her that there was a spell on it, that you won't be able to stop talking, and you will be extrovert, you'll always be showing off and all that. And she didn't touch it, in fairness to her. Now, one of the things about it, because there's all this work going on, there's an electric fence here, and there's always been a small electric fence just shutting off a bit of this area here. It's handy. It means you can get cattle in and out without opening gates and all of that. And there come another crowd of Americans over from they were from Cincinnati, I think it was, and they came here one day to see the giant's grave and all that. But while one of them was passing over the fence to get to it, she alleged she got a shock. She was wearing a mid-length skirt, and she said she got a shock while she had each leg across the fence. And there was talk of me being sued. And this is why farmers need to be, they're sometimes very, very careful about it. But by and large, the amount of farmers sued by people coming onto their land is very, very few. And there is new legislation out about 10 years that makes it very difficult, unless you set a deliberate trap. But we'll not get into that now. But she was kind of threatening me and sending me, at that time, messages and that she wasn't feeling the best. But she was married, and there were about 11 years trying to have a baby, and something was wrong. I don't know what it was. I gave her a bit of advice when she was here about a few wee tips. I thought I might be able to help, because sometimes there could be a mistake being made. But in any event, anyway, the next thing I heard, she was pregnant, and she had a daughter. And I suggested to her that it was the shock of the electric fence that caused it. So anyway, I heard no more of that, and thank God that's over, and I wish them all well. They're all doing well. So here is a wooded area of low-lying ground on the bridge, and there's a drop in the level here from the field above, and the field above is where I have the garden, where I grow the vegetables and all that. And it's, again, they appear now to be allowing me keep this here rather than trying to make land out of it. It's a wet area. You can see the ferns They're a very, very old plant. If I get cut off here, I'm sure you'll understand. Maybe my battery will go just doing walkabouts. So yeah, and then you have this thick shrub here with the trees and what do you call them, the foxglove plants there. So here is the old well. It's almost completely empty, almost completely empty. Just a little water on the bottom. So there is water under the ground here, but it's not coming in the well, and the report is that when the Board of Works did blasting on the river, it had some upset. Now, I don't think that was what happened. I think that in a well, the water runs in fissures, and if you damage any of them in the least, the water gets away to a lower level. This well is up a bit from the river itself, where it's up about 2.5 meters, and so the water simply gets past it. But just shows you there's the old stonework, all there now as it was 100, maybe 150 years ago, and that's probably why the house was put here, because there was a water supply. So there used to be a pier here, and there's one of the piers here yet, the other one is gone. And funny enough, there was this little thing on it here. Do you see that there? There was that little fella there. Do you see it there? For the bar to fit into. That old pier is now all that's left of what was a nice, well-kept path over to the well, but the well unfortunately has gone dry. Now I'm going to try to get you this picture here as best I can. It's very hard with the sun, but what I want you to see there is that track. That's of a Sika deer. Okay, here it's again. You see it there now. I'm not sure if you can see it. All I can do is move the camera back and forward. You see it there. So I was looking for a type of tree, and I saw it somewhere and I can't find it. I think they used to call it a fuchsia. It might be a honeysuckle. Oh, unbelievable smell from it. I was somewhere on the farm and I saw it. I don't actually know where it is. Here we have more wild roses. I nearly better call this video off now. A big airplane flies over again. We'll have a look later on. I might post it underneath where it's going. Now this field is about 10 days to 2 weeks cut, and the growth is very poor. And this is because we haven't had much rain. You can see that crops of grass are reduced this year to date. Now I suddenly found one. I could smell it. This, I just took a bit of it. This is it here. Anyone know what plant that is? See it? Take it up. Oh, the smell of that is something else. The smell of that is just something else. Oh, that is a beautiful. Now, is that a honeysuckle or what? It's not the same as it's not the same as the other ones I showed you there, as the elderberry. These are not elderberries. There it's there. What is that plant? You want to smell that plant. Again, the deer track, a small track. I cannot know if I'm getting it there, but that's it there, right? Now to finish up, I've already shown you this plant. I know of no scent, and I'm sorry for using the word smell. It's a scent. But what exactly it is, we'll find out anyway, and I'll post it underneath. Here is the parent bush here. Here it's here. You see them in here. You see the little seedlings there, and here they're here. Now I'll just turn the camera around because the sun is quite bright. So here it's here. I think it's honeysuckle, and I'll just pick this one here. And again, it's dying away. It's dying away, so there's not much odor left, or not much scent left off it. But about 3 weeks ago, I got off to smell one of these off the tractor, and I just couldn't believe how beautiful that smell was. And of course, a big buck thistle. Not really wanted to have waged war on them in the past. You just can't have too many of those. Although they do attract a certain amount of bees. A few of them in the right place may be no harm at all. And again, here is that plant again with the lovely scent. Here it's again, and there's just leaves. See it there? It's just finishing off there. I don't see any more of it there. Then of course if you don't keep them back, the furze bushes or the whin bushes, they will eventually take over. You just have to keep them back by whatever means, and usually the simplest way is cut them with a small chainsaw and just get rid of the tops. That's a cherry tree. That will produce actual cherries. My great grandfather farmed here, and he reared about 8 or 9 children, born 1853 to 1875. And a recent DNA test by a family member linked my family member to a son of the man that left here and lives in Long Island, New York. He left here in 1895 and set up home in Brooklyn in New York, and the DNA test brought up the link. This old place, we will not sell it in our time, and I have to say those coming after me are very, very environmentally aware, very, very strong environmentalists, extremely strong in fact. Now, farming is hard work, not to say everyone will farm, but anyway, there is hope. And on a morning like this, on the 22nd of June 2003, and to be out alone, and someone did say, I envy you having such space, and yeah, I can see the point. Folks, I'll sign off with that, and I hope you enjoyed this, to see nature doing its thing at its best, to see it actually doing its best, and to see all the species and the tracks and the traces of all the species, and those elusive little deer that are slipping about unbeknownst of me, and all of that, and the mix of wild and domestic is good. Folks, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We'll see you back for something else soon. Bye.